and police believe she was murdered.
Now to the manhunt underway for the killer of a University of Mississippi college student.
Ally, what are you doing?
Taking a picture for Sunsets by Ally.
Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Today we examine the tragic murder of University of Mississippi student Ally Kostial. Ally Kostial was a 21-year-old student at the University of Mississippi. She was found murdered near Sardis Lake in July 2019. Her body had multiple gunshot wounds. Ally was from St. Louis, Missouri, and was studying marketing at Ole Miss. She was known as a bright, friendly, and ambitious young woman. Ally dreamed of meeting her soulmate and building a happy life in Oxford, Mississippi. The discovery of Ally's body shocked the Ole Miss community. The police believed it was not a random crime due to the violent nature of the murder. They thought someone close to Ally was responsible. An important clue was Ally's purse found on a nearby road. Her ID was still inside, indicating she left quickly and unwillingly. Ally's Apple Watch provided a detailed record of her communications. Text messages pointed to her boyfriend, Brandon Theesfeld, as a main suspect. Brandon Theesfeld was a fellow student from Texas. He and Ally had a rocky relationship. Texts showed Ally thought she might be pregnant. This news distressed Brandon. Police arrested Brandon based on the digital evidence from Ally's watch along with testimony from her friends. Prosecutors believe Brandon killed Ally to avoid becoming a father, a motive of convenience. In the final week of her life, Ally Kostial exchanged over 850 texts with Brandon Theesfeld about her suspected pregnancy. The messages showed Ally's urgency and desperation to meet up and discuss the situation. On July 15th, Ally texted Brandon insisting they talk in person, but he resisted for several days. He expressed frustration about the pregnancy scare, dismissively telling her, "It's probably not even real." Ally pleaded with him to meet up, saying, "I just want to see you. Don't you understand that?" After much back and forth, Brandon finally agreed to see her on July 19th. Surveillance footage from a Chevron gas station showed Ally and Brandon shopping together around midnight on July 19th. In the video, Brandon wraps his arm around Ally and kisses her forehead. To observers, it appeared affectionate, but the tragedy to come suggests it was manipulative. The next morning, cameras captured Brandon returning to the same Chevron alone to buy a case of beer at 7:44 a.m. Meanwhile, Ally was never seen or heard from again after the late-night visit. Investigators believe that shortly after Brandon bought beer on the morning of July 20th, he picked up Ally from her apartment under the guise of spending the day together. It's speculated he then drove her 30 miles to Sardis Lake under false pretenses. In the secluded area nearby the fishing camps, Brandon brutally murdered Ally, shooting her 8 times. Half an hour after the presumed time of the murder, Brandon was picked up on a convenience store camera buying cigarettes, appearing casual and unbothered. Ally's savagely beaten body was found later that day by a police officer. The discovery set into motion the investigation that would ultimately result in Brandon's arrest and conviction for her heinous murder. In June 2022, 3 years after Ally's tragic murder, Brandon Theesfeld finally stood trial in Batesville, Mississippi. The proceedings unpacked the toxic and violent nature of his relationship with Ally Kostial. In her opening statement, District Attorney Allison Rule depicted Brandon as a controlling and obsessive boyfriend who could not handle Ally pulling away from him. Rule argued that Brandon's rage at the thought of Ally being pregnant led him to kill her in an act of jealous possession. The prosecution's case hinged on the text messages extracted from Ally's Apple Watch. These texts revealed Brandon's attempts to isolate Ally from her friends as the pregnancy scare escalated. When calling the Apple data analyst to the stand, Rule stated that the texts showed obsession, manipulation, and desperation on Brandon's part. Multiple friends of Ally testified about concerning interactions with Brandon. Her roommate said she often had to convince Ally to go out because of Brandon's objections. A friend of 4 years revealed Brandon once angrily texted her to stay the hell away from Ally. To build their narrative of a violent crime of passion, the prosecution introduced evidence of prior aggressive behavior by Brandon. Testimony described Brandon punching walls, damaging property, and even attempting to rip a classmate's door off its hinges at a party. Conversely, the defense argued that Brandon's clean criminal record and good academic standing proved he was not a habitual violent offender. Brandon's lawyers contended he had no prior malicious acts towards Ally specifically. The defense did not dispute Brandon's role in Ally's death, but they contended it was a spontaneous act brought on by extreme stress, not an intentional murder. Lawyers described Brandon as a good Southern boy, unequipped to handle the pressures of an unintended pregnancy and Ally's demands. Psychiatrists for the defense testified that Brandon was emotionally immature and cracked under the perfect storm of circumstances he faced. They argued his young age and dependent personality caused him to panic and act irrationally when confronted with the idea of being a father. Prosecutors denied this narrative, pointing out Brandon's deliberate actions leading up to the murder. Rule told the jury how Brandon methodically lured Ally to the remote lake before executing her in cold blood. He then casually purchased beer and cigarettes just minutes after the presumed time of death. Rule stated his actions required clear-headed intentionality, not an impulsive break from reality. After 8 days of arguments, evidence examination, and witness testimonies, the case went to the jury. They deliberated for 3 hours before returning with a unanimous guilty verdict on the charge of capital murder. Gasps and cries rang out in the courthouse as the verdict was read. Ally's friends and family embraced, united in grief but relieved by the delivery of justice. In their victim impact statements, Ally's loved ones mourned her vibrant spirit and condemned Brandon's choice to brutally end her life. Ultimately, the judge sentenced Brandon Theesfeld to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While the verdict cannot bring Ally back, many felt it provided a sense of resolution and accountability for the heinous crime. But at Ole Miss, students, faculty, and staff still deeply feel the loss of a promising young woman who should have had a bright future ahead of her. Though the trial has ended, Ally Kostial's memory persists at the university and in the Oxford community. Her vibrant spirit remains woven into the fabric of Ole Miss, reminding the town and campus of the precious, fragile nature of life. Ally Kostial is remembered for her bright spirit and determination. She overcame dyslexia to succeed academically and made many close friends in college. Ally had a passion for helping others, especially children. She volunteered with special needs students and at a children's hospital. Her dream was to become an elementary school teacher. The Ally Kostial Memorial Scholarship was created at Ole Miss in her honor. It is awarded to students who share her spirit of perseverance and her dedication to education. Ally's murder raises awareness about dating violence and the importance of campus safety. Her story reminds us to look out for each other and value life's precious moments. And so the heartbreaking story of Ally Kostial's murder reveals the tragic consequences of dating violence and toxic relationships. Her vibrant life was cut short by one act of callous violence. As we conclude this episode of Crime Chronicles, please take a moment to honor Ally's memory by cherishing those you love. Reach out to someone who may need support and be vigilant about warning signs of abuse. If you learned something from hearing about Ally's case, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Turning on notifications will alert you to future true crime content and discussions. Together we can spread awareness and work towards a world with less violence. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.